The Galactic Union was a massive organization made up of hundreds of alien species from across the Milky Way. It was built on peace, cooperation, and shared knowledge. For centuries, it had stood as a beacon of unity. New members rarely joined, but when a tiny blue planet called Earth sent out signals of its existence, the Union decided to investigate. What they found left them both amused and confused. Humanity was loud. Their communication signals were filled with strange things. Videos of people jumping off cliffs with only flimsy fabric to save them. Cars racing dangerously on winding roads. People laughing while juggling fire. The Galactic Union watched in disbelief. At first, they thought these were acts of punishment or warfare, but the humans were smiling, sometimes even cheering each other on. "These creatures are reckless," said Administrator Sorrel, a tall, insect-like alien with shimmering green wings. Sorrel was in charge of reviewing Earth's application to join the Union. They risked their lives for amusement. "Yes, but they're creative," replied Veltrin, a squid-like alien with a calm voice. "Did you see the way they built machines that fly? And their communication systems are advanced. They may be strange, but they're resourceful." After weeks of debate, the Galactic Union decided to invite humanity to join as probationary members. They sent an envoy ship to Earth, hoping to learn more about these peculiar beings. When the galactic envoy arrived in Earth's orbit, the humans were ready, or at least they said they were. The United Nations had prepared a team of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel to greet the aliens. The humans were excited, but as usual, they couldn't resist adding their own flair to the occasion. The first contact ceremony was broadcast live across Earth. People gathered around screens, holding their breaths. The alien ship was sleek and silver, hovering above the United Nations headquarters in New York City. A ramp extended, and out walked 3 alien representatives. They were tall, glowing slightly under Earth's sunlight. Their movements were smooth and calculated, like flowing water. The crowd gasped in awe. But instead of silence, a loud cheer erupted. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Welcome to Earth," followed by, "Don't let the New York traffic scare you away." Laughter spread through the gathering. The aliens tilted their heads, confused. In their cultures, first contact was a solemn and sacred event. Humanity, however, treated it like a festival. During the initial meetings, the Galactic Union representatives learned more about humans. They were curious, intelligent, and inventive, but they were also unpredictable. For example, during a discussion about planetary defense, a human scientist interrupted the conversation to propose launching satellites with giant slingshots as a cost-saving measure. The aliens thought it was a joke, but the humans actually started sketching designs. Then came the infamous stunt. One of the Galactic Union's dignitaries asked about Earth's advancements in energy production. To demonstrate, a human engineer rigged up a small fusion reactor. But instead of following standard safety protocols, they said, "Don't worry, I've got this. Hold my coffee." They activated the reactor, which worked. Briefly, it emitted a loud crackle, and then overloaded, blasting a harmless but very bright shockwave of light. The humans laughed nervously, while the aliens stood frozen in shock. "Do they always take such risks?" asked Veltrin, blinking his many eyes. "Apparently," muttered Sorrel, who was already updating the Union's risk assessment reports on humans. Despite their unorthodox methods, humanity impressed the Galactic Union. They showed ingenuity in problem-solving, a willingness to adapt, and a fearless attitude that bordered on recklessness. What truly convinced the Union, however, was humanity's determination. One evening, the alien envoys watched a human documentary about exploration. They saw footage of astronauts walking on the moon, engineers building space stations, and scientists peering into the depths of the universe. They realized that humanity's chaotic behavior came from their desire to push boundaries. They weren't content with staying safe. They wanted to achieve the impossible. They might be reckless, Veltrin admitted, but they are also brave. They have potential. When the Galactic Union announced that Earth was officially a probationary member, the humans threw a massive celebration. Fireworks lit up the sky, music played, and people danced in the streets. The aliens, watching from their ships, were both horrified and fascinated by the humans' wild energy. This species, Thorol said, shaking his head, is going to change everything. And he was right. Humanity was just getting started. The Galactic Union's space station, Delta 47, was one of the most advanced pieces of technology in the galaxy. It was a massive floating hub where dozens of alien species worked together. But today, Delta 47 was in trouble. Its main reactor, the heart of the station, had malfunctioned. Without it, the entire station would lose power and drift into a nearby asteroid belt. The problem was complex, and the Union's top engineers were stumped. Humans, who had recently joined the Galactic Union, were not supposed to interfere. They were still probationary members, and most species considered them inexperienced. But one human, a young engineer named Alex Carter, couldn't sit back and watch. Alex had been stationed on Delta 47 as an observer. He was supposed to study the station's advanced systems and report back to Earth. But when the alarm blared and chaos spread, he knew he had to help. "What seems to be the problem?" Alex asked, stepping into the control room. The control room was filled with panicked voices. Screens flashed red warnings, and alien engineers scrambled to fix the issue. Administrator Xordal, the insect-like alien in charge, turned to Alex with frustration. "The reactor is overheating," Xordal snapped. "The coolant system is failing, and we cannot stabilize it. We've tried everything." Alex looked at the readings. To him, it looked like the coolant pipes were clogged. The solution seemed simple, but the aliens were overcomplicating things with advanced algorithms and complex tools. "What if we just flushed the system manually?" Alex suggested. The room fell silent. The aliens stared at him, their expressions ranging from confusion to disbelief. Veltran, the squid-like alien, floated closer to Alex. "Manually?" Veltran asked. "That's primitive." "But it might work," Alex replied. "Sometimes simple solutions are the best." After much debate, the team reluctantly agreed to let Alex try. They had no better ideas, and time was running out. Alex grabbed his toolkit and headed to the reactor room. The other engineers followed, muttering doubts under their breath. The reactor room was a maze of glowing pipes and humming machinery. Alex located the coolant system and opened a panel. Inside, he found the clog, a buildup of crystallized particles that had blocked the flow. "See, just needs a good clean," Alex said, pulling out a small multi-tool. "That's it?" Thorol asked incredulously. "You're using a handheld tool?" "Trust me," Alex replied with a grin. "Hold my coffee." The aliens exchanged puzzled looks. They had heard humans say, "Hold my beer," before doing something reckless, and now they feared the worst. But they had no choice. Alex worked quickly, scraping away the crystals and clearing the pipes. Once the flow was restored, he manually reset the coolant system. The reactor's temperature began to drop, and the alarm stopped blaring. A cheer erupted from the control room as the station stabilized. But Alex wasn't done yet. He noticed a weak connection in one of the power lines. Instead of waiting for the aliens to approve a repair, he grabbed some duct tape from his kit and secured the line. When Alex returned to the control room, Thorol was waiting for him. The administrator's wings twitched with a mix of anger and relief. "You took risks," Thorol said. "If you had failed, the entire station could have been destroyed." "But I didn't fail," Alex replied. "Sometimes you have to take a chance." Veltran studied the human with curiosity. "Your methods are unconventional, but they worked. Perhaps we have underestimated humans." Word of Alex's quick fix spread throughout the Galactic Union. Some aliens were impressed by his ingenuity, while others were horrified by his recklessness. The phrase "hold my coffee" began to circulate among the alien engineers, often used as a warning. Back on Earth, Alex's actions were celebrated. Humans were proud to be seen as problem solvers, even if their methods were unconventional. Meanwhile, the Galactic Union updated their records to include a new note about humanity. Humans, resourceful, brave, and dangerously unpredictable. Approach with caution. For Alex, it was just another day on the job. For the galaxy, it was a lesson they would never forget. When humans say, "Hold my coffee," something extraordinary is about to happen. The Galactic Union's annual Starstring Grand Prix was the most prestigious spaceship race in the galaxy. Only the fastest, most advanced ships and their skilled pilots could participate. It was a spectacle of speed and technology, watched by trillions across the Milky Way. This year, for the first time, humans were allowed to join. The announcement caused a stir. Most aliens saw humans as reckless and underprepared for such a high-level competition. But humanity, always eager for a challenge, didn't hesitate to sign up. Earth's team selected Captain Maria Vega, a brilliant but daring pilot, to represent them. She was known for taking risks and had a reputation for turning scraps into miracles. Maria arrived at the race with her ship, the Rust Bucket. It was exactly what it sounded like. An old, patched-up spacecraft held together by duct tape and hope. Compared to the sleek, state-of-the-art ships from other species, the Rust Bucket looked like a joke. The other racers laughed when they saw it. "That thing can't possibly fly," said Jorvik, a reptilian pilot from the Zarnath species, whose ship gleamed with polished metal. Maria smirked. "Oh, it flies. Just watch." The starting line was a dazzling display of ships, each one an engineering masterpiece. The track itself was a treacherous course through asteroid fields, plasma storms, and gravity wells. It was designed to push even the best pilots to their limits. As the countdown began, Maria adjusted her controls. Her co-pilot, a chatty AI named Felix, spoke up. "Maria, I'd like to remind you that this ship has a 12% chance of survival," Felix said. "That's higher than usual," Maria replied, grinning. "Let's do this." The countdown hit 0, and the race began. Ships shot forward, their engines roaring. Maria's Rust Bucket sputtered for a moment before lurching into motion. It was slow at first, but Maria knew her ship had one advantage. It was ridiculously sturdy. The first section of the race led through a dense asteroid field. The other racers darted gracefully between the rocks, their ship's advanced systems calculating precise trajectories. Maria, on the other hand, relied on her instincts. She barreled straight through, letting the Rust Bucket's reinforced hull take the hits. "Maria, we just lost the left thruster shield," Felix warned. "It'll buff out," Maria said, swerving to avoid a particularly large asteroid. "Keep me updated." By the time she emerged from the asteroid field, Maria had moved up several positions. The other racers were shocked. No one expected the human ship to still be intact, let alone gaining ground. The second section of the race was a plasma storm. Lightning crackled, and waves of energy disrupted navigation systems. One by one, racers fell behind, their ships unable to handle the interference. Maria, however, had prepared for this. She had rigged the Rust Bucket with an old, analog navigation system that wasn't affected by the storm. "We're climbing, Felix." "What's our position?" Maria asked. "8th place and rising," Felix replied. "But I'd like to point out that our engine is overheating." Maria glanced at the temperature gauge. It was in the red. "Guess it's time for Plan B," she said. She reached for a lever labeled "Do Not Pull." "Maria, I must insist you reconsider," Felix said, panicked. "Hold my coffee," Maria replied, yanking the lever. The Rust Bucket jolted as an emergency coolant system kicked in. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. The engine cooled down, and Maria surged forward, passing 3 more ships. The final stretch of the race was the most dangerous. A gravity well known as the Grinder The intense gravitational forces could crush a ship or pull it off course. Most racers relied on precise calculations and powerful engines to navigate it. Maria had neither. Instead, she used the gravity to slingshot her ship forward, a risky maneuver that required perfect timing. The rust bucket groaned under the pressure, but Maria's skill and Felix's calculations paid off. She shot out of the gravity well in third place. The finish line was in sight, but Jorvik and another racer were still ahead. Maria pushed her ship to its limits, her hands steady on the controls. With seconds to spare, she activated the rust bucket's last trick. A burst of raw fuel injected directly into the engines. The ship roared forward, overtaking Jorvik by a hair. Maria crossed the finish line in second place. The crowd erupted in cheers, stunned by the humans' performance. Though she didn't win, Maria had proven that humans could compete with the best. The Galactic Union's records noted her as the most daring racer in the Grand Prix's history. Meanwhile, back in the pits, Maria grinned as she looked at her battered ship. "Not bad for a rust bucket," she said. Felix chimed in, "Maria, you're absolutely insane. But I have to admit, this was fun." The galaxy now knew one thing for sure. Humans didn't play by the rules. And that made them dangerous and unforgettable. The galaxy was in chaos. A solar flare had erupted from the star Tarvok 9, sending waves of deadly radiation toward a nearby mining colony on the moon of Zalora. The colony was home to over 5,000 workers from various species. Their protective shields were failing, and evacuation ships were in short supply. If help didn't arrive soon, the entire colony would be wiped out. The distress call spread across the Galactic Union, but the situation seemed hopeless. The radiation storm was intensifying, and no advanced ship could navigate through it safely. The Union's top officials debated endlessly, but no solution emerged. That's when the humans stepped in. Captain Maria Vega, still recovering from her daring performance in the Starstream Grand Prix, volunteered immediately. Her battered ship, the Rust Bucket, wasn't advanced, but it had one advantage. It was built to survive. While other ships relied on delicate technology, the Rust Bucket was a fortress of reinforced steel and old-school engineering. Maria stood in the Union's emergency command center, surrounded by skeptical alien leaders. "Your ship barely survived the race," said Administrator Xoril, his insect-like eyes narrowing. "What makes you think it can handle this?" Maria crossed her arms. "Because it's not about fancy tech. It's about guts and grit. I'll get those people out." The room fell silent. Finally, Xoril nodded. "Very well, Captain. But this is a suicide mission." Maria smirked. "Then it's a good thing I'm hard to kill." The Rust Bucket blasted off, heading straight for Zalora. The radiation levels were already high, and Felix, Maria's co-pilot, constantly warned her about the ship's deteriorating condition. "Maria, the shields are holding, but only barely. I estimate we have 30 minutes before critical failure," Felix said. "Plenty of time," Maria replied, gripping the controls tightly. "Let's focus on the colony." When the Rust Bucket entered Zalora's atmosphere, the scene was grim. The colony's shield generators were sparking, their energy reserves nearly depleted. Workers scrambled toward the few evacuation ships, but there weren't enough for everyone. Panic spread as the radiation levels climbed. Maria opened a comm channel. "This is Captain Maria Vega of the Rust Bucket. I'm here to help. Start loading people into the cargo bays. We'll make as many trips as we can." The colony's overseer, a feline-like alien named Kralin, appeared on the screen. His fur was matted with sweat, and his voice trembled. "Captain, your ship can't possibly carry this many people." "Watch me," Maria said. "We'll pack them in like sardines if we have to. Just get them ready." Ignoring the flashing warnings on her dashboard. When they finally reached the safe zone, she barely had time to catch her breath before heading back. Trip after trip, Maria and the Rust Bucket ferried workers to safety. Each time, the ship took more damage. Panels fell off, engines sputtered, and the shields flickered dangerously. Felix's voice grew more urgent. "Maria, the reactor is overheating. If we don't shut it down, the ship will explode." "Not yet," Maria said, wiping sweat from her brow. "We still have people down there." On the final trip, the rust bucket was barely holding together. The radiation storm had intensified, and visibility was almost zero. Maria could feel the heat from the failing shields as she guided the ship toward the colony. When she landed, Krellin rushed to her. "Captain, this is the last group," he said. "But there's too many of us." Maria looked at the crowd. There were at least 200 workers left. Her ship couldn't take that many. "We'll make it work," she said. "Everyone, pack in tight. If you can breathe, you have enough space." The workers crammed into the ship, filling every corner. Maria stayed calm, even as the rust bucket creaked under the strain. Finally, with a roar, the ship lifted off. The journey back was the most dangerous yet. The reactor temperature climbed steadily, and the shields failed completely. Felix's voice was strained. "Maria, we won't make it," he said. "Yes, we will," Maria replied. She rerouted all remaining power to the engines, ignoring the alarms. The ship shook violently as it pushed through the radiation storm. At the last moment, they broke free. The safe zone appeared on the horizon, and Maria guided the rust bucket to a shaky landing. As the workers poured out, cheers erupted. They were alive, thanks to the human who refused to give up. Maria slumped back in her seat, exhausted but triumphant. Felix spoke softly. "Maria, that was insane." She smiled weakly. "That's what humans do best." The galaxy now had another reason to respect humanity. When everything seemed lost, they didn't just survive. They saved everyone else, too. The Galactic Union had seen many wars. Wars over territory, resources, and even ideology. But nothing had prepared them for the most unconventional battle in galactic history, a war of memes. And unsurprisingly, humans were at the center of it. It all began innocently enough. A species called the Troxur, known for their rigid culture and humorless ways, had released a propaganda campaign targeting humanity. They claimed humans were chaotic, reckless, and unfit to be part of the Galactic Union. The campaign spread through Union communication networks, plastering serious messages and grim warnings about humanity's dangerous unpredictability. The Troxur's plan might have worked on any other species, but humans had a secret weapon, an unmatched ability to turn anything into a joke. Within hours of the Troxur's propaganda posters appearing, humans responded in the most human way possible. Captain Maria Vega was relaxing on the bridge of the rust bucket when the first meme surfaced. It was a simple image of one of the Troxur's propaganda posters, but someone had added a caption. "Dangerous and unpredictable. You're welcome." Maria laughed so hard she spilled her coffee. "Felix, look at this," she said, showing her co-pilot. Felix analyzed the image. It appears to be a humorous rebuttal to the Troxur's message. Statistically, humor has a higher probability of engagement than fear-based propaganda. "Exactly," Maria said, grinning. "Humans don't fight fair. Felix, this is going to be fun." Within days, human-made memes flooded the Union's communication networks. One popular meme showed a Troxur official pointing at Earth with the caption, "They're too chaotic." Meanwhile, Earth, hold my beer. Another depicted a Troxur warship with a poorly drawn stick figure, human holding a wrench labeled "Problem Solved." The memes spread faster than the Troxur's propaganda. Other species in the Union began sharing and remixing them, each adding their own twist. The humor was infectious, and even the most serious alien officials couldn't resist laughing. The Troxur were furious. Their rigid society valued control and order above all else, and they couldn't understand how humans had turned their serious campaign into a galaxy-wide joke. Troxur officials convened an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. "Their mockery undermines our message," said General Franck, slamming his clawed hand on the table. The Union no longer takes us seriously. We must retaliate. How? Asked another official. We don't understand this. Meme warfare. It's illogical. But one young Troxer officer, Zrilla, hesitated. Perhaps we need to adapt. If we cannot stop the memes, we must create our own. The room fell silent. General Vronk glared at Zrilla. You suggest we stoop to their level. I suggest we fight fire with fire, Zrilla said firmly. Under Zrilla's guidance, the Troxer launched their own meme campaign. Their first attempt was clumsy, a poorly edited image of a human tripping over their own feet, captioned, "Human Ingenuity." It flopped spectacularly. Humans quickly turned it into a new meme, adding captions like, "And we still made it to the moon." But Zrilla didn't give up. They studied human humor, analyzing what made memes effective. Soon, the Troxer's memes improved. One showed a human riding a bicycle, or holding a pizza, a wrench, and a book labeled "How to Fix Everything." The caption read, "Humans, solving problems with maximum chaos." To everyone's surprise, humans loved it. They shared it widely, adding their own captions. The war of memes became a collaboration, with humans and Troxer playfully mocking each other. Other species joined in, creating memes that celebrated and poked fun at everyone's quirks. Back on Earth, Maria watched the chaos unfold with a mix of pride and amusement. "Felix, have you ever seen anything like this?" she asked. "Never," Felix replied. "But statistically, this has been the most effective human operation to date. The Galactic Union's approval rating of humans has increased by 37%. Maria laughed. All it took was some jokes. In the end, the war of memes didn't have a winner. Instead, it brought the galaxy closer together. Species that had once been wary of each other now laughed together, their differences celebrated rather than feared. The Troxer, once humorless and rigid, found themselves enjoying the chaos they had tried to suppress. As for humanity, they gained a new reputation. They weren't just seen as unpredictable and chaotic. They were also the galaxy's unofficial comedians, capable of turning any situation into a laugh. And in a universe full of challenges, that was a skill everyone could appreciate. The Galactic Union had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humans, especially their ability to meme their way out of anything. The Galactic Union's central station buzzed with activity as representatives from every member species prepared for the annual Intergalactic Engineering Challenge. This event was a showcase of technological brilliance, where the best minds competed to solve impossible problems. The Troxer, the perennial champions, were confident they would claim victory yet again. But this year, humanity was participating for the first time. And they had a plan. Captain Maria Vega arrived with her ragtag team of engineers and scientists, each carrying an air of unshakable confidence. They wheeled in crates of mysterious equipment that clattered noisily, drawing skeptical stares from the other participants. "Is that duct tape?" asked Exandran delegate, their glowing eyes wide with disbelief. Maria grinned. "Duct tape and a lot of guts. That's all we need." The Troxer team, led by the ever-arrogant General Vronk, watched with thinly veiled disdain. "Typical humans," Vronk sneered. "They think improvisation can replace true innovation." Maria didn't rise to the bait. Instead, she and her team got to work, assembling their contraption under the curious gaze of the crowd. The challenge was simple in concept but nearly impossible in execution. Build a device capable of neutralizing a rapidly expanding singularity before it engulfed a simulated star system. The stakes were high. Every team had spent months preparing intricate solutions, using cutting-edge technology and precise calculations. The humans, however, had brought a keg. It wasn't just any keg. It was a heavily modified beer keg outfitted with wires, pipes, and what looked suspiciously like kitchen appliances. Maria's team worked furiously, connecting parts with duct tape and soldering circuits with handheld torches. The other teams watched in horror and amusement. "They're not serious," muttered a Zarnithian scientist, her tentacles twitching in disbelief. "Oh, they're serious." Felix, Maria's eye co-pilot, said through the ship's comms. "And that should terrify you." As the timer ticked down, each team presented their devices. The Truxer unveiled a sleek, silver sphere powered by antimatter. The Xandran displayed a crystalline generator that pulsed with contained energy. Each invention was a masterpiece of advanced engineering. Then it was humanity's turn. Maria wheeled the keg to the center of the stage. She pressed a button, and the contraption hummed to life, emitting a faint smell of burnt toast. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced with a flourish, "we give you the Singularity Suppressor MiC-1, also known as the Beer Keg of Doom." The crowd erupted into laughter. Even the judges struggled to maintain their composure. General Vronk crossed his arms. "This is an insult to the competition." Maria just winked. "Don't knock it till you try it." The simulation began. A miniature singularity formed, its gravitational pull threatening to consume the virtual star system. One by one, the teams activated their devices. The Truxer sphere generated a stabilizing field, but cracks appeared as the singularity grew. The Xandran crystal tried to compress the singularity, but it shattered under the pressure. Finally, it was humanity's turn. Maria took a deep breath and flipped a series of switches on the keg. The device rattled violently before releasing a loud pop. A frothy liquid sprayed out, forming a shimmering cloud that surrounded the singularity. "What is happening?" Vronk demanded, his voice rising. The shimmering cloud began to glow, absorbing the singularity's energy. Slowly but surely, the singularity shrank until it vanished entirely. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the keg emitted a cheerful ding. Maria wiped her hands on her jumpsuit and smiled. "And that's how it's done." The judges were speechless. One finally managed to ask, What exactly did you do?" Maria explained, "We used a specially brewed quantum beer infused with particle stabilizers. The foam acted as a containment medium, neutralizing the singularity's energy." "You used beer to save a star system?" the judge asked, incredulous. "And duct tape," Maria added. "Never forget the duct tape." Humanity's victory was undeniable. The crowd erupted into applause, and even General Vronk had to admit, begrudgingly, that the humans had outdone themselves. As Maria's team celebrated with their trusty cake, Felix commented, "I believe the phrase is, 'hold my beer.' But in this case, it seems humanity held everyone's beer." Maria laughed. "That's what we do, Felix. We improvise, we adapt, and we make it work. Cheers to that." The galaxy would never forget the day humans turned a keg of beer into a weapon of mass salvation. And from that day forward, whenever someone uttered the phrase, "hold my beer," the galaxy braced itself for whatever madness humanity would unleash next. The Galactic Union Council chamber was unusually tense. Delegates from every corner of the galaxy filled the massive hall, their voices a mix of concern and frustration. A new threat had emerged on the galactic fringe, a fleet of automated warships built by an ancient, forgotten civilization. These ships were relentless, and every attempt to stop them had failed. "We need a unified strategy," demanded a Xandran delegate, his glowing eyes scanning the room. "The Union's fleets must act together before these machines reach our core worlds." "Unified strategy," sneered General Vronk of the Truxer. "Your fleets are already unified in retreat. These machines adapt too quickly. They predict every move we make." An uneasy silence fell over the room. The delegates had no solutions, only fear and doubt. All eyes turned to the humans, who were seated at the back of the chamber, looking oddly calm. Captain Maria Vega leaned back in her chair, a playful smirk on her face. "Sounds like you need a wild card," she said, breaking the silence. "A wild card," Vronk growled. "We need precision, not chaos." Maria shrugged. "Chaos is kind of our specialty." The plan Maria proposed was unconventional, to say the least. Instead of engaging the automated fleet with brute force, the humans suggested using a mix of unpredictability, misdirection, and a hefty dose of what they called controlled insanity. The idea was simple in theory but outrageous in practice. Lure the warships into a trap by exploiting their logic-based algorithms. If the machines could predict every move, humanity would give them moves that made no sense. "We're going to confuse them to death," Maria explained with a grin. The council was skeptical. "This is reckless," the Xandran delegate argued. "And if it fails, it will leave us vulnerable." "And if we do nothing, we're still doomed," Maria countered. "You brought us into the Union because humans think differently. Let us prove it." After much debate, the council reluctantly agreed. The humans had their chance. The battle began near a gas giant on the edge of the Kalar system. The automated fleet approached in perfect formation, their sleek, black hulls reflecting the faint light of distant stars. Their movements were precise, calculated, and terrifyingly efficient. Maria's fleet, by contrast, looked like a chaotic mess. Ships darted in random directions, seemingly without purpose. Some turned in circles, others drifted aimlessly. One ship even broadcasted old Earth pop songs on all frequencies, confusing the machines that attempted to decode the strange signals. "What are they doing?" a Xandran observer asked, watching the battle from a safe distance. "Having fun," Felix, Maria's co-pilot, replied. "And creating chaos." The warships hesitated, their algorithms struggling to process the illogical movements. This brief pause gave humanity's fleet an opening. They launched decoy drones, each emitting false signals that mimicked starship signatures. The warships, unable to distinguish the real ships from the decoys, split their forces to chase the phantom targets. Maria watched the chaos unfold from the bridge of the rust bucket. "Time for the next phase," she said, her voice steady. The human fleet activated a series of improvised EMP mines, hidden within the decoy drones. As the warships closed in, the mines detonated, releasing powerful electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the machine's systems. Several warships faltered, their sleek movements turning erratic. But the humans weren't done yet. Maria's team had one more surprise: a repurposed cargo freighter filled with thousands of tiny reflective spheres. When released, the spheres created a glittering cloud that refracted and scattered light, overwhelming the warship's sensors. "They can't fight what they can't see," Maria said with a grin. The automated fleet's perfect coordination began to unravel. The humans exploited every gap, using unconventional tactics to disable more ships. At one point, a human frigate broadcasted a video of a cat batting at a laser pointer, confusing the warships that attempted to analyze the bizarre behavior. The other species watching the battle were stunned. The humans weren't just fighting, they were playing, turning the battle into a surreal performance. And somehow, it was working. By the end of the day, the automated fleet was in ruins. The remaining warships retreated, their algorithms unable to adapt to the humans' relentless unpredictability. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary, a victory won not with superior technology, but with creativity, humor, and a refusal to play by the rules. Back at the council chamber, the mood was jubilant. Delegates from every species praised the humans' ingenuity, though some still struggled to understand their methods. "How did you know it would work?" the Xandran delegate asked Maria. Maria shrugged. "We didn't, but sometimes you just have to roll the dice and see what happens." General Vronk, grudgingly impressed, nodded. "You humans truly are the galaxy's wild card." Maria raised a glass in a toast. "To being the wild card, may we never stop surprising you." And in that moment, the galaxy realized that with humans in the mix, anything was possible.